May it please the court? Ladies and gentlemen, 1 year ago today, Jesse James was shot and killed. As his back was turned, his murderer pointed the gun and fired into the back of his head. The man who pulled that trigger, Robert Ford, 2 weeks later pled guilty to the murder. That very same day, he was sentenced to hang by the neck until dead in Buchanan County. But ladies and gentlemen, Robert Ford's going to testify here tonight. Because you see, Robert Ford didn't hang in Buchanan County for the murder of Jesse James. A mere 2 hours and 15 minutes after he was sentenced to die, the defendant in this case, Governor Crittenden, issued a pardon for Robert Ford. Why would the governor issue a pardon for a known, admitted, and convicted murderer? The state is going to introduce evidence that the governor pardoned Ford because Ford was merely a pawn in the governor's grander scheme. See, testimony will show that the governor's financial backers, the major railroad companies, were feeling pressure by the James gang. As such, they pressured the governor to rid the state of Missouri of the James gang, specifically of Jesse James, forever. You'll see evidence that the governor was working with these railroad companies, that he received telegraphs and talked to them multiple times. These companies, along with the governor, put up a substantial reward for whoever could rid the state of Missouri of Jesse James. The evidence will show that they fully intended for Jesse James not to be captured, arrested, and tried, but for Jesse James to be murdered, as death was the only permanent solution they could see to the problem facing Missouri's economic problems. Jesse James was hurting Missouri economically, and therefore he was hurting Governor Crittenden. The evidence will show that Governor Crittenden met in January of 1882 with Robert Ford, James Timberlake, Robert Ford, James Timberlake, and the Jackson County Commissioner. The evidence will show that at this meeting, the governor told Robert Ford that if he killed Jesse James, he wouldn't go to prison for it. In fact, he would also get the reward money that was being offered up for Jesse James to be captured. At this meeting, the governor assured Ford, as you will hear through testimony, that the state of Missouri needed Jesse James gone, and that they did not believe that arrest and capture would do that. The governor didn't use any of the legal means he had to get rid of Jesse James. In fact, he made the governor's office the executioner of the state. He decided on his own to try Jesse James and to murder him. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe after you hear this information, you will too agree that the governor is guilty of murder. Thank you.
Do you wish to proceed with your opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. May I brief the court?
Certainly.
Members of the jury, good evening. Thank you for being here. I don't need to tell you about Jesse James, what he was doing to our great state of Missouri. He robbed banks. He robbed trains. He made us called the robber state. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he even murdered. He turned widows out of wives. Now, a few years ago, we, the people of the state of Missouri, we elected a man governor, and we sent him to Jefferson City with one job to do: to make our great state safe for all of us. That is exactly what Thomas Crittenden did in the few years since this trial. And now those people want to put him in jail for it. Now I want to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Joshua Jones, and I'm one of the lawyers for Mr. Crittenden. This is my co-counsel, Christopher Slusher. We represent our governor, Thomas Crittenden. Now, all that speaking Ms. Moreland just did, she didn't tell you one key thing, the most important thing, that those people over there, they have a burden. They have to prove to each and every one of you, beyond any shadow of a reasonable doubt, the governor is guilty. That is a burden that they will not be able to meet. Now, you're going to hear a lot of evidence, a lot of storytelling in this trial. But there's one thing you're not going to hear in all of the evidence. You're not going to hear anybody definitively say that the governor wanted James killed. In fact, the only official word from the governor that you'll hear in testimony today was that the governor wanted James captured and brought to justice. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not murder. What you will hear today is from Commissioner Craig, who was at the meeting with Ford, Timberlake, and yes, even the governor. And Commissioner Craig will testify that at no point in time did the governor order James murdered. At no point in time did the governor even hint that he wanted that he wanted James killed. You're also going to hear from the governor himself, who's going to testify about what's happened these past few years here in the state of Missouri. How Jesse James has embarrassed our good name and made it unsafe for people to be or travel in this state. How he was elected by the people of this state to do a job, and he did that job. You'll also hear how Governor Crittenden desperately wanted James brought to justice, but he did not order, hint, or even encourage anybody, including Robert Ford, to kill Jesse James. And at the close of evidence, my co-counsel, Mr. Slusher, is going to get for you. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about the story, the facts of this trial. And he's going to talk to you about the law in this state. And he's going to ask you for the only just verdict, that our governor, Thomas T. Crittenden, is not guilty. Thank you.